You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. This edition of Coffee with Graeme is brought to you by Evolve Green AETI, Toby Hockey, Case Financial Group, and Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. We got a great show lined up for you guys today. We got 3 guests joining today's show, starting off with assistant coach of the Swift Current Wildcats in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, Chris Kirwan. He's going to be joining the show after the intro of Coffee with Graeme to talk about the past week/weekend for the team, where they were in action last week on Wednesday, taking on the Regina Rebels, and this past weekend taking on the Battlefords Sharks. All of those games coming at home for the Wildcats. We're going to get into those games with Chris when he joins the show here, and we're also going to talk about the upcoming weekend of games that the team has against the Saskatoon Stars on the road coming up this weekend. It's all coming up here on Coffee with Graeme. This edition of the show, of course, brought to you by Evolve Green AETI, Toby Hockey, Case Financial Group, and Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy. And without further ado, let's bring on Chris Kirwan, assistant coach of the Swift Current Wildcats, here on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Joining the show now, Chris Kirwan, assistant coach of the Swift Current Wildcats. Chris, a busy weekend for you guys, a busy week/weekend for you guys as the team was in action 3 times in the past week/weekend. Just got to start off by asking, how are things going for you? How are you doing on this Tuesday morning?
Well, not bad, other than the weather ain't good out here. Kind of been in the middle of a blizzard, and not a whole, our power keeps going off and on. So, yeah, just stuck in the house today, or the shop. So
yeah, seems like you got some Manitoba weather. I know that this past weekend, like, there was a huge snowstorm here. The roads were awful. Didn't allow for our broadcast crew to get out to Pilot-Mound and broadcast games. So it seems like that storm moved from Manitoba all the way into Saskatchewan and Swift Current, where you're at now. But let's get into this past games that the team had here. Starting off with last Wednesday against the Regina Rebels, 3rd time against them this year. You guys won against them again in a close game, 4-3. They outshot you guys 29-22. Both teams were 2 for 4 on the power play, and you guys ended up getting the win. Just talk about how huge that was to see this group come out and get this win against the Regina Rebels for the 3rd time this season.
Well, anytime you can get 3 points against a team of their caliber, I think that's a big win for our program for sure. It was one of those games where there was times where they were taking it to us, and then there's times we'd take it to them, and then you'd take a penalty, and they'd score a couple power play goals, and then our power play would come through, and then the next power play, it seemed like you couldn't get anything. So it was one of those games that we just pretty tight game for the most part. Our goaltender played pretty well for us, and we scored just enough to get the 3 points.
Yeah, and Aurora Van Warmer got the start in that game, her first game back since competing in the Western Regional Women's U18 Championships that were held here in Portage La Prairie. Just to see her come out and have the type of the performance that she had, that type of performance. Just how huge was that to get that performance from a goaltender like Aurora?
Well, I think she had a good experience out in Manitoba from what we'd heard. And I didn't watch any of the games, but from hearing from some scouts and then from the coaching staff there, that she had a really solid tournament out there. And, it carried over against Regina. And, happy to see it for, a grade 12 kid that to get some success.
Yeah, and another player that returned to the lineup after playing for Team Saskatchewan at that U18 Championships tournament was Ava Metzger. She got on the board in that game with the goal, as well as Jersey Watane, Sadie Keller, and Tess Backus all getting the other goals. Just to see that type of depth come through. We've talked about it so many times here on the show, Chris. You've alluded to it, how this is a very deep forward group that you guys have. Just to see them come out once again and for you guys to get scoring from not only one player but four different players in that game must have been massive for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we really like our depth up front. It seems like any given night somebody can pitch in, and our D is improving too. I mean, like if you look at our back end, I'd put our 1 through 6 up against pretty much any teams 1 through 6. I think so. Between our our depth up front and then the D improving, I think we're seeing major strides being made with our hockey team.
And it seemed like that strong performance against the Rebels carried into that Saturday game against the Battlefords Sharks, as you guys played them twice this past weekend, getting the win on Saturday 6-0. You guys outshot them by quite a bit, 41-25 in that game. Just speak about how nice it was to see this group not take this Battlefords team lightly coming into that game after that big win against the Rebels.
Yeah, no, we showed up and we actually got some puck luck. Some goals started going in for our kids. I think some of our kids maybe would think should have scored a few more goals this year with the opportunities they've had. And that Saturday night they went in for us for probably the first time that we'd had a little bit more breathing room in a game for us as coaches into the third period. So no, I think the girls worked hard and continued on from Wednesday night's game for sure.
And a huge storyline in that game was you guys killing off 6 penalties. Talk about it, this team getting into penalty trouble, but being able to kill off all 6 power plays that Battlefords had.
Yeah, our special teams in those 2 games definitely were good, like Regina and then the first night against Battleford. It definitely you got to win that battle if you want to be one of the top teams in the league, and definitely our special teams have come through there in that game for sure.
And Carly Leonard, rookie goaltender, earned the shutout in that game. 25 saves made on 25 shots against. Just seeing her, continue to grow, continue to have solid performances this season, earning the shutout in that Saturday night win.
Yeah, you can't give her enough credit. She's been solid all year for us. Really, she's got a really good save percentage, 9.4 or somewhere along that, and I think she's 7-1, 8-1 from the start of the year. And more importantly, made some big saves in that game when it is a 1-goal game to allow us to get a bit of momentum going, and then kind of cruise in the third period onto the victory. But she's been solid pretty much all year for us.
Now, talk about just how that momentum generated into just the chances you guys were getting in the offensive zone in that game, how this team looked offensively, generating their chances, even though you said didn't get, the goals that some of the girls wanted. Felt like you guys could have put the puck in the net more, but just talking about how that translated into generating momentum, into generating chances in the offensive zone.
Well, I think if you look at our group as a whole, I don't know if we have like a natural goal scorer, like one that you would say that it just, has that knack to put the puck in the back net. We create opportunity. I think we're a bigger team, so we need to cycle pucks and then drive the net for, tip ins, that kind of dirty goal areas, getting in front of the house, we call it, and, going there. And, I think that's where our kids finally were rewarded on Saturday night.
Now, moving into that Sunday game, didn't go the way you guys wanted, losing 3-2 to Battlefords, shooting them once again, 37-22. But just talking about, what exactly went wrong in that game. Of course, a strong performance from Battleford's goaltender and Emma Backman that stopped 35 shots, making 35 saves on 37 shots. But just we say that was one of the biggest differences in the game, was just how hot their goaltender was.
Yeah, I mean, even when we played her earlier on in the year, I think we beat them 2-0. And we knew going into this we were going to have to be tight or sharp on the defensive side of the puck, and then going to have to score goals in those dirty areas. So she is, I don't know, arguably the best goalie in the league, I guess, if you were to talk to people. And it's type of kid that you're going to have to get traffic, you're going to have to get deflections. And for the most part, we weren't disappointed in our effort level, maybe a little bit disappointed in our execution. We had quite a few 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, and just didn't execute to put the puck in the back of the net. And that's the biggest thing. When you play a goalie of that caliber, you're going to have to score on those opportunities when you get them. And the puck just didn't seem to go in for us that night. And it wasn't for lack of opportunity. Like, we definitely worked hard, played hard, and just couldn't bury the puck.
Yeah, and just talking about it, that second period on the scoreboard in terms of just goals scored was the biggest difference, as they scored two unanswered goals against you guys after you guys were up 1-0 in the first. Talk about that second period. What happened on those two goals for Battlefords to be able to take the lead heading into that third period?
Well, it was basically a 4-minute stretch there. I think they got a power play goal and then a tip in, and it's one of those things where when you have a letdown for a couple minutes, you got to keep playing. And I mean, obviously in the first period, I thought maybe it was arguably one of our best periods of the year, and to only be up 1-0 was a little bit disappointing. And then you let a team like that hang around. And the one thing about Battleford, and I don't think you'll ever question their work ethic, and they have some kids that can scoot. So you got to play, and you can't take that 4 or 5 minute stretch off, because they took advantage of that. And then we did tie it in the third period, with kind of a fluky goal that just got thrown at the net, and that's how you got to do it. And then they ended up, sneaking one in there with about 6 minutes left in the third period, and we just couldn't tie it up. And we had our opportunities with the goalie pulled, where pucks on the goal line, and we had traffic and all that kind of stuff. But that's hockey too, and I got to give them credit. They worked hard and defended their net and relied on their goalie to get them 3 points. So that's just the way it goes in the game of hockey.
One more thing about that game on Sunday, and then we'll move into this upcoming weekend that you guys are going to have against the Saskatoon Stars. But the work on the penalty kill that Battleford's had against you guys, obviously, I feel like a lot of hard work put in by them on those penalty kills against you guys, as you guys went 0 for 4 on the power play. Then just speak about what this Sharks team was showing on the penalty kill to slow down your power play, to not allow you guys to get the goals there.
Well, their power or their penalty kill, they apply pressure, and that's the way they want to do it. And when you're on the power play against them, you got to be able to make passes, or they're just going to continue to apply pressure to you. And I mean, obviously, I think their goaltender was their best penalty killer. I mean, it wasn't that we didn't have some opportunities to score, and she just kind of shut the door on it. So, do we have some work to do on our power play? 100%. But I don't think we're completely disappointed either. So.
Yeah, for sure. Just one of those games where couldn't buy a break on the power play, but definitely
Yeah.
nice to know that that power play is still looking good for you guys, even though you guys weren't able to get on the board in that game on the girl advantage. You guys are now in a three-way tie for first, 5-3-2 on the season, 38 goals foremost in the league, 24 goals against. Playing a team coming up this weekend that is 2 points behind you guys in the standings in the Saskatoon Stars. They're 5-1-1 on the season, 24 goals for, 11 goals against. You guys on the road against them twice coming up on this upcoming weekend. Just, talk about this upcoming weekend against Saskatoon, what you guys are looking to take advantage of them against them in those games to potentially get a win or two against them.
I mean, from what we hear, and we played them earlier on in the tournament there, but you're going to see another deep team that they got the Buziak kid that puts up some points for them, but they're a complete hockey team. They got good goaltending, and then they're solid basically 1 through 6 and, all the way through their forward group. So, I mean, the thing with our team, I think if we work hard, compete hard, and we should be in games most nights, and with 5 minutes left, all you can ask for is a chance to win, which I think that's what we'll probably see out of our group. And it's not going to be an easy series by no means, but if in the last 5 minutes if you got a chance to get your 3 points, that's where we want to be.
Now, last question before I let you go here, Chris. Obviously, going to have some practices before that weekend of games coming up on the road against Saskatoon. What's going to be the focus on to work on stuff in practice coming up this week?
Well, I think you're going to see probably some more work on the power play. I think that's something that you got to continue to do, and then just keep maybe working on driving the net, cycling pucks, and continuing to express our girls to pay attention to the details of playing without the puck, and then trying to work on maybe a little bit of scoring around the net too. It's something we've been doing some drills in practice, just trying to get the girls to get a little more luck around the front of the net. It's one of those things that's tough to do. Some kids seem to have it and some kids don't, but I think that's something that we need to continue to work on.
Well, best of luck to the team coming up this weekend on the road against the Saskatoon Stars, and continue to work on that stuff in practice and get ready for this upcoming weekend of games. Assistant coach of the Swift Current Wildcats, Chris Kirwan, joining the show here on this Tuesday morning. Chris, as always, thanks for taking the time and joining the show here on Coffee with Graeme.
Sounds great. Good, Graeme. Have a good day.
You too, Chris. And Chris Kirwan, assistant coach of the Swift Current Wildcats, joining the show here on this Tuesday morning on November 16th here in 2021. We're going to head to our first commercial break here in this edition of Coffee with Graeme. Coming up after the break, I'm going to be speaking with defenseman, the captain of the Westman Wildcats, Makenna Beard, coming up here on the show to talk about her season with Westman so far, as well as her university commitment to Minot State for the 2022-2023 college/university season. You're watching Coffee with Graeme here on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right. I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance. Quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet? Keep your tills running and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Joining me now is Makenna Beard, number 7, team captain for the Westman Wildcats on this edition of Coffee with Graeme. Makenna, thanks for coming on the show. Great to have you on and to be doing this interview with you. How are you doing on this Tuesday morning?
I'm good. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, no problem. You got school coming up today. Have you been in school yet today?
No, I haven't. I don't have school till 11 today.
Oh, that's pretty solid. So you got some time here to talk about, your season with the Westman Wildcats, as well as your commitment to Minot State for the 2022-2023 season. Let's talk about that first off. Just making that commitment to play D1 hockey at that collegiate level for the 2022-2023 season. I'm assuming just when you signed those papers must have been a great moment for you.
Yeah, for sure. I was really excited, and I think it's the best fit for me going forward, and I'm more than excited to play at Minot next year.
Yeah, and I read an article that was put out by Game On Hockey magazine that they did on you, and you said you chose Minot State because of the welcoming staff, the coaches and the players, along with it being close to home, being able to play the game you love. Was that one of the biggest parts of choosing Minot State, was just having that close to home aspect into it?
Yeah, for sure. Having my family, grandparents, friends be able to watch me is also a big part of what I like. And I'm not very far from Minot here in Boissevain, so definitely being close to home influenced my choice going to Minot.
Now, obviously, like you talked about the welcoming staff, the coaches, and the players as well. You're going to have a chance to play with two players you've played with before, in Chrissy Rink and Gillian Gervain. Talking about it, just getting to reunite with them.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't seen them in a while, especially due to COVID. So just being able to see them again and be on the ice with them again is going to be awesome.
Have you had a chance to talk to the rest of the players on the team so far? Have you gotten any messages from the rest of the players?
Yeah, for sure. I've talked to a few alumni Wildcats as well that I haven't got to play with, but I know they're enjoying their time in Minot, and they said I would fit in well with their team next year.
Yeah, and you're going to get to play with a former Wildcat as well, and Alicia O'Hare, which is going to be pretty awesome. Speaking about head coach Ryan Miner, a coach that's had great success, a coach that's been able to lead this program to great success. How excited are you to get a chance to work with him, to be coached by him throughout these next few years at Minot State?
Yeah, for sure. He has helped me so much through my recruiting process and helped me and encouraged me, and I'm really excited to be coached by him next year.
Now, talking about your head coach, Guy Williams, how he's helped you throughout this commitment process and helping you, get in contact with these schools, getting in contact with Minot.
Yeah, from my rookie year, being coached from Guy, he's always encouraged us young players to reach out and sell ourselves to these coaches. So Minot was one of the schools I reached out to about 2 years ago. Took interest in their program, and ever since, Minor and I have kept in good touch and made some conversations over the years. He came down to watch me about a month ago, had a in-person conversation with him then. And yeah, Guy's been a really big help to me over the 3 years he's coached me.
Now, talk about your game, the type of player that Minot is going to get. Of course, head coach Ryan Miner said that you're a well-rounded skater with a hard, accurate shot, and your presence. You'll make it known when you step on the ice. There, we've had a chance here on ASTV to watch you this year, and you were exactly all the things that Ryan talked about. Just speak about your game in your personal opinion, what you're going to be able to offer to this Minot State Beavers program.
Yeah, I agree with most of what Ryan had said. I think I've got good awareness on the ice. Being a defenseman, I see everything in front of me, but I also have the ability to jump up and be an offensive forward. For the most part, I think I'm quite controlled and not too worried about anything. And for my shot, as far as it goes, I think it's decent, and I think I'm ready to take my hockey to the next level next year.
Now, I saw on your Twitter, the pictures of you signing the papers. You also had your family there. I'm assuming just to have your family there while you were signing those papers, making a life changing commitment to, commit to play D1 hockey at Minot State. Just how huge that moment was for you to have your family there along with you when you signed those papers.
Yeah, for sure. My family has been nothing but supportive over the years. My parents have done everything I could ever ask for. My younger brother has also been very encouraging through the recruitment process. And yeah, I'm really excited that my family and grandparents will be able to watch me next year.
Now, you're going to be playing at that D1 collegiate level, the highest level of collegiate hockey that you can play, obviously, being D1. Just talk about how your years in the MFHL, your years with the Westman Wildcats, just their program playing 2 years of Bantam as well before playing midget, is going to help, translate your game to have success at that collegiate level.
Yeah, I think the pace of play is going to be a lot faster, but for the most part, I'm ready to adapt to it. Over the summer, I'm going to work hard on working out and getting on the ice to get ready for the season, but for most of all, I'm really ready for it.
Talk about, the type of player that this Minot State Beavers team is going to get off ice in the dressing room. Obviously, with you being a captain, you're looked at as a big leader on this team wearing the C this year. Just speak about, the type of player they're going to get off ice in the dressing room, how you'll bond with this team, how you feel you'll bond with this team.
Yeah, for sure. All those older players on that team at Minot, I will definitely look up to them and hopefully follow in their footsteps to one day be a leader on Minot's team. But for the most part, I'm excited to learn from those older girls exactly how the girls on the Wildcats should be learning from us older girls on the Wildcats. But for the most part, I'm excited. I think off the ice, I'll fit in well with the girls. I'm used to meeting new people and putting myself out there. So I think Minot will be fun.
Now, speaking about, what you feel you'll need to improve on as this season goes along as well, putting in the work in the off season to get ready to play D1 hockey. Obviously, you got your the rest of your senior season to play with the Westman Wildcats, looking to continue to develop your game. What are you looking to develop the most to get ready for that season in 2022, 2023 when you get to Minot State?
My defensive game, making sure that my shots aren't blocked from the point and being hard in battles because I know some of those girls next year are going to be a lot bigger than me. So being able to win battles in the corner and be aggressive is what I think I need to work on before heading to Minot.
Last question before we move into your time with the Westman Wildcats here, most notably your season this year. But one thing you're looking forward to the most throughout your seasons of playing at Minot, both, in that just experiencing the college hockey lifestyle off the ice, and also what you want to accomplish throughout your years with Minot State on the ice.
Yeah, for sure. I think the most excited thing I'm looking forward to is playing at a higher level of hockey with girls that are also ready to compete, especially with those former Wildcat players. I'm excited to be back on the ice with them. And while attending Minot, I think one thing I would like to accomplish is, first of all, becoming a phys ed teacher when I leave Minot and making memorable memories with all my teammates down there.
Right on, right on. And actually, one more question before we move into talking about your time with Westman is just you're going to be playing in front of different crowds than you're used to playing here in Manitoba in the MFHL. Just how excited are you to experience that aspect of things, playing in front of the crowds that you guys will be playing in front of throughout those years?
Yeah, people always talk about how being in states is a different environment. So I'm excited for the fans and the crowds and being part of Minot's community and environment down there.
Moving into your time with the Westman Wildcats, this is your third season with the team. I assume that your rookie season was back in 2019, 2020. Just, speak about how you've developed, how you've matured as a player throughout the years of playing for this midget AAA program with the Westman Wildcats since then.
Yeah, definitely. I think my confidence has grew a lot from my rookie season back then, and definitely my physical game, being a bit scared playing against all those bigger girls my first year. I've kind of grown out of that phase and kind of took my game to the next level, being an older girl and one of the bigger girls on the team.
Yeah, and not only are you more mature this year, you've grown to be a bigger player, but you're also wearing the C this year, the first time you're wearing a letter with this Westman Wildcats team. Just speak about, what that feeling was like when you were named the team captain of this year's Westman Wildcats squad.
Yeah, for sure. It was a huge honor to be named captain and taking responsibility with that. I have some unreal assistant captains with me, Emma Ramsey and Kelsey Page, who have also helped me become a great leader over my years playing hockey with them. So, yeah, becoming the captain was definitely an honor and something I've dreamed about since being a little girl.
Now, I've talked to one of the other players on your team this season, and Brooklyn Franklin, and she spoke about how the environment on this team, the dressing room on this team, is unreal. It's a great environment. Just speak about, from your experience this year, your experience throughout playing with this Westman Wildcats U18 team, how the dressing room this year compares to the dressing rooms you've been a part of in the past.
Yeah, for sure. This year, we have had no drama, no nothing. We all clicked and bonded right from the start. Right from tryouts, I knew we were going to have a pretty good team because all the girls were willing to learn and look up to these older girls. So being in the change room is always fun. No matter who you're sitting beside, you're guaranteed to have a few laughs. And all the younger girls have fit in very well with our team this year.
Now you've put up 10 points in 16 games played so far this year, 3 goals, 7 assists. Just speak about, the work you put in the off season to get ready for this year, to have this type of success that you're having now with this team in this 2021-2022 regular season in the MFHL.
This summer I tried to be on the ice as much as I could. With COVID, it was kind of unknown, but working out 3 times a week at a gym in where I'm from, and again, being on the ice and competing with other girls that also wanted to make this team heading into tryouts really helped me to push myself before tryouts and to get where I am today.
Now, talking about, this team this year, you guys are currently 9-2 on the season, tied for first place, along with Yellowhead. Just speak about, how you felt this team at this point has been able to have the success you guys have been able to have to be one of the top teams in the league. Currently, one of the first place teams in the league, tied for first with Yellowhead, to be able to have this type of success this year.
Yeah, I think that comes back to the off-ice portion of it. Being able to bond and that communication piece came easily to us because we were so close right off the start. But we have 2 practices a week that all girls are focused and ready to practice, which I think that really helps us when we step on the ice for game time. But for the most part, our team bonded well and communicated well. So when we're on the ice, we know each other and we're aware of each other and recognize each other's voices, which helps.
Moving away from Westman for a moment here, talking about your experience of playing at the U18 championships, the Western Regional Women's U18 championships that were held here recently in Portage La Prairie. Of course, you getting selected to Team Manitoba along with one of your other teammates, goaltender Gracie Glover. Just speak about what that experience was like to be able to be named to this Team Manitoba team, to be selected to this U18 national team.
Yeah, being selected to Team Manitoba was again a huge honor, and I was more than excited to represent our province. Being in Portage, I know we were supposed to be flying to BC, but in Portage, I still had a great time getting to know all my teammates again and spending the week with them on the ice and off the ice. We bonded very well. There was no drama, no nothing. We all got along really well, and for the most part, we had a really great time.
It's great to hear no drama there for sure within the team, especially when it's a bunch of players from a bunch of different teams coming together to, form the best possible team for Team Manitoba. Obviously you guys must have been disappointed with not being able to medal in this tournament, but still for you personally, just having this type of experience once again, playing for Team Manitoba at that U18 level. Talk about the experiences that you're taking away from that experience that you had with them and, using them in this season, and not only this season, but in your hockey career here coming up.
Yeah, for sure. Being able to play at that pace of play with Team Manitoba has definitely helped my game and bring it back to the Wildcats. I noticed that I have a bit more time with the Wildcats, so being able to use that time to make a smart play has helped me. And just getting to play with new people and bringing back what they have taught me, new coaches, what they have taught me, and being able to bring that back to my game at the Wildcats, I think will help me moving forward to play at Minot, because I already know that their pace of play is going to be a lot faster. So getting a little taste of that has really helped me.
Looking at Westman, your team, this past weekend, you guys won in a shootout 4-3 on Saturday against the Ice and lost 6-1 to the Avros on Sunday. Now, I looked at the game stats. Were you in action for the team this past weekend, or were you sitting out?
I played Saturday. Saturday near the end of my game, I got an injury, so I was not playing Sunday, but I hope to be back in about a week or so.
That's great to hear that, you feel like you'll be back in a short amount of time. Throughout this time, how are you looking to, take some time and kind of, take a breather to get ready for the upcoming games coming up this season that you'll be playing?
Yeah, having an injury sucks, but letting it heal and doing some off ice stuff, whether that be working out while I can, being around the team during the practices, watching practices, still learning from coaches. So when I'm back and ready to play, it'll just be an easy transition.
Now, obviously the team winning in a shootout on Saturday against the Ice 4-3, but that loss against the Avros 6-1. You guys have played them twice so far this year. You guys lost to them 3-2 earlier on in the year, losing by a bigger amount this time, 6-1. From what you saw, not sure if you were attending that game, watching it in the stands, but what did you hear? What did you feel went wrong in that game for you guys to lose by that amount of goals, losing 6-1 against the Avros?
Yeah, definitely as a whole wasn't our best effort put forward. From the bottom of our lineup to the top of our lineup, they made some mistakes, but we also had some good things, just couldn't capitalize on our chances. For the most part, their team played very well, and credit to their goalie. She made some nice saves. But yeah, I think it comes back to focusing before the game. I don't think we had as strong a focus as we should have. And on ice warm up definitely wasn't in our favor. So when we stepped on the ice, I don't think we were as prepared as we should have been. But again, we did make some good things. But heading back to practice this week, we just need to work on a few things, I think.
Yeah, and in this week of practice, you guys are preparing to play in the only game you guys have on this week coming up on Friday against the Central Plains Capitals. Of course, they're coming off a big weekend of having success against Pembina Valley with a 3-0 win and a 3-2 win against Eastman. Just for you guys as a team, how do you feel like you guys are going to be prepared heading into this game against Central Plains as a whole?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have our hands full. It's always a tough game against Central Plains, but if our girls come ready to play, I think we will handle the game well. Again, comes back to having 2 good practices this week to prepare for it, but for the most part, our team plays hard against that team. It's usually a rivalry, so having that will definitely encourage us, and we'll play with some intensity.
I gotta ask you a question. I am noticing, are those hockey sticks in your background right there?
Yeah, they are. They're not mine. They're my younger brothers.
Oh, I see, I see. I was gonna ask you what type of brand of hockey sticks you use, but we'll leave that be. Talking about one more thing before I let you go here, Makenna. Just you've accomplished so much this season already, being named captain of this Westman Wildcats team, signing your commitment to play university hockey at that D1 level for Minot State come 2022-2023, and getting selected and playing against the best U teams from provinces like, Alberta, BC, and Saskatchewan. But for you heading into the season, talking about the rest of the goals or the goals that you set for yourself for this season, what you're looking to accomplish heading into the latter half of the season when this season concludes here in your senior year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season with the Wildcats, but again, I'm going to push myself to be ready to play at that university level with Minot next year, and I'm looking forward to Minot, but I'm also looking forward to my senior year and finishing that off with the Wildcats this year.
Well, right on, Makenna. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining the show here. You have a good time at school today. I know that you might not have a good time because school's a bit boring, but you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining the show, and if you want to again in the future, we could talk again here on the show. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you again for having me.
Of course. You take care, Makenna.
You too.
And Makenna Beard, number 7, team captain for the Westman Wildcats, joining the show here on this Tuesday morning on Coffee with Graeme on this November 16th, 2021 edition of the show. Coming up after the commercial break, we got a long segment of Off the Wall with Cody coming up here on the show. Cody Wall, color commentator here on the network, will be joining the show to break down the past week/weekend of games that we saw here on the network. A lot of games to cover. The segment is quite a lengthy length in time. It's almost an hour in running time. So yeah, you guys are going to hear about all the games that Cody's going to break down in the segment coming up here on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around after the commercial break for Cody's segment, Off the Wall with Cody, here on Coffee with Graeme with Cody Wall, here on ASTV Productions. And there he is, Cody Wall, joining his segment here on this edition of Coffee with Graeme on this Monday night. This edition of the segment being used on this Tuesday morning episode, Off the Wall with Cody with ASTV Productions, color commentator Cody Wall. And Cody, it was supposed to be a huge weekend for us here on the network once again, but due to the storm, we weren't able to get out to many games. We were our Manitoba crew was only able to get out to one. You weren't even there. You were in the process of moving. Gotta ask you how the move went this week and how things went in that department.
Yeah, the move went pretty good so far. Not a lot of didn't really damage anything during the move, so that's always a plus when you don't have to do too many repairs to the walls.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Always good to, not damage things. Great that, it went well in that department. And yeah, you actually didn't even miss much. As I said, we were only able to get out to one game. Our crew here in Manitoba, our broadcast crew, due to the snowstorm, due to the weather, due to the road conditions, we weren't even able to get out to Pilot-Mound. And Glenn Munford, our boss, the owner of ASTV Productions, said that was the first time it ever happened. So that's is a first for everything, I guess. But let's break down the games anyways. We'll try our best here. Starting off last Wednesday, talking about the Swift Current Wildcats and the Regina Rebels Regina coming into that game as the first place team in the league, and the Wildcats had great success against them coming in, 2 wins against them this season, both of them coming in OT, and another close game, Cody, 4-3, this time not being an OT, a regulation win for the Swift Current Wildcats, for Swift Current being able to get a huge win again against the Regina Rebels, led into them having a somewhat successful weekend as well against Battlefords. Talk about the game, the 4-3 win for the Wildcats, from what you saw from the stat sheet in that game.
Yeah, definitely a solid performance by the Wildcats. Edging out the win with a solid second period, outscoring their opponents 2-1 in that period. That was definitely the period where they kind of took charge. Shots, they were a little bit behind the Rebels, trailing 29-22, but still managed to close out the win in that Wednesday night game.
Yeah, and Aurora Van Warmer, goaltender for the Swift Current Wildcats, returning to the team after her experience at the Western Regional Women's U18 Championships here in Port Prairie. For her to come in and have that type of game, stopping 26 shots on 26 shots on 29 shots against, having 26 saves. Just how huge was that for her confidence here, getting a huge win against a team like Regina?
Yeah, and like you mentioned, she probably got a lot of momentum off of that Portage tournament that she was in or part of. When you're selected to those kind of camps and teams and selected, always kind of makes you feel like you're gives you a confidence boost. And I'm sure Aurora took that notoriety that she got for being invited and was able to kind of help her team use that momentum to will out the win on Wednesday.
Talking about special teams now, for both of these teams, Regina and the Wildcats, they were both 2 for 4 on the power play. Just talking about how huge those power play chances were for both teams in that game to be able to capitalize on the power play when they did have chances.
Yeah, well, for Swift Current, 50% of their goals came on the power play, and for the Rebels, over 50%. So, just looking at those stats quickly, you can see that the power play for both teams had a pretty big part in the game. And with Swift Current managing to get that, the 2 even strength goals rather than just the one additional that the Rebels got.
Now, for Swift Current, it's been a lot of success against the Rebels so far this season. The only 3 losses that the Rebels have come against Swift Current. Just talking about how Swift Current has been able to match up with this Rebels team so well and been able to beat them every single time, even though they've been close games.
Yeah, just sometimes when you're going up against an opponent that's higher than you in the standings, you get a little extra momentum going into those games. It's going to be a hard-fought battle going into those games, and you kind of know what you're going to be expecting. So you can go into that game with an expectation that you need to give it your all to be able to pull out a win, and that's something that Swift Current has been able to do, is just show up every game against the Rebels and put forth a good effort.
Now, looking at Swift Current, the scoring in that game for them, 4 different goal scorers in that game. Number 4 jersey Retain, number 7 Sadie Keller, number 10 Tess Bacchus, and number 12 Ava Metzger, all getting on the board with goals in that game. How huge is that for a team when they're able to not only have their top players scoring, but able to get depth in a game like that against a team like the Rebels?
Well, you definitely want to be able to spread out your scoring, but at the same time, you do want your top guns going all the time. But definitely when you get some depth scoring and more than just 1 or 2 people contributing to the offense, it's even easier to distribute ice time when you have everybody kind of going on all cylinders during those games.
Now, looking at the Rebels, their goal scorer, the player that got all the goals for them in that game, has been one of the top players in the league this season, Alexis Pletford. A hat trick in that game, a hat trick coming in the loss, but for the Rebels to have a player like her step up in a game like that against a team that has the qualities that Swift Current has, must have been very pleased with the performance they had from Alexis Pletford, as she was also returning to the lineup after playing in that U18 championship tournament.
Yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned, you want your top stars going, and for the Rebels, Alexis Pletford definitely was firing on all cylinders on that Wednesday night game. Like you said, getting those 3 goals for her team and really keeping them in it. And just kind of alluding back to the power play, with 2 power play goals and both coming from Alexis for the Rebels. She's going to be she's somebody they definitely depend on the power play, and somebody who's going to be constantly getting the puck for her team when it does come to the power play.
Now, looking at it, this Rebels team out shooting the Wildcats in this game 29-22. Obviously not getting the result they wanted with the win, but why this Rebels team, in your opinion, from what we've seen from their results, have not been able to get over that hump to beating this Swift Current Wildcats team yet this season when they played them?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about how Swift Current, all their offense was coming from multiple lines, and that's something that I'm sure the Rebels are going to want, is to have some of that depth scoring and not depend so heavily on their star players. And yeah, kind of spread the ice time out when you do have multiple players going on or that are hot. You can spread out that ice time and kind of have 3-4 lines that are just going at full capacity.
We'll move into Thursday's game now, the game on Remembrance Day that was played here on the network between the U17 male prep Buffaloes from Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy taking down the Brandon Wheat Kings U17 AAA team 4-0. Of course, you were there to commentate that game, Cody, the only game you were able to get to this past weekend. A huge 4-0 win for the Buffaloes in that game, continuing the success they had the weekend before when they had a successful U17 CSSHL showcase performance. Just from what you saw in that game, how the Buffaloes were able to take advantage of the Wheat Kings and come out and not only get a win, but a shutout win as well.
Yeah, they definitely looked like they came out firing on all cylinders, and they were led by goaltender Miles Gordon in that affair, and he was able to shut the door and get his team the win, as well as there were some great performances by Keegan Leach, Carlos De Leon, and as always, some solid performances by Laz Constant with some physical play from Izzy Amy. Just a good all-around effort from the whole Buffalo team.
Now, talking about it, the goal scorers for this Buffaloes team in that game, Sam Takahashi with 2 goals, Laz Constant, and Keegan Leach with the other goals in that game. Just talk about the performances from guys like Sam Takahashi more in depth, as well into Laz Constant and Keegan Leach out there this past Thursday.
Yeah, just to start with Sam Takahashi, he's always given her 110%. He's always finding his way into the dirty areas. He doesn't play a soft game. He doesn't throw the body too terribly much, but he definitely doesn't shy away and is able to get into the greasy areas and is able to make plays and generate offense.
Yeah, and you talked about how Laz Constant was a standout, as well as Keegan Leach. Talked about what they did so well in this game to not only be able to generate and score those goals that they did, but just their overall game in those in that win on last Thursday on Remembrance Day.
Yeah, the Buffalo definitely it was a physical game on Thursday on that Remembrance Day. But one thing I really liked was the Buffaloes were able to kind of separate themselves after the whistle a bit. There wasn't too many after the whistle penalties, and it did seem like once penalty was coming to the Wheat Kings, the Buffalo were able to kind of reel it back and pull back on the reins with that kind of intensity and not engage and even up the penalties and get coincidentals. They were able to draw penalties and get onto the power play, which is something that they, even if they don't score every time when they're on the power play, that is something that is a strong point of theirs. They're able to generate a lot of momentum. And just to bring it back to Laz Constant, that's a guy who, when on the power play, they depend on a lot. He's able to hold the puck on the half wall and is able to go into the corners when a puck is in the corner, and is able to often come out with it more times than not. And then Keegan Leach, he looked good on that Thursday game. He was able to, from the back end, like usual, he was able to quarterback the play, able to make good, clean, crisp passes for the breakout, and often didn't find himself hemmed in his own end.
Now, dive more into the special teams, the power play, how that looked for the Buffaloes, as well as their penalty kill when they did get down a man.
Yeah, their power play, they were definitely cycling it well, able to, they managed to get a 4-minute power play where weren't able to capitalize on that one, but was definitely able to generate a lot of momentum, which kind of let them put a bit of a stranglehold on the game and just kind of roll with the momentum as it came.
And what about for just the penalty kill that they had out there to be able to neutralize this special teams, this power play from the Brandon Wheat Kings U17 AAA team?
Yeah, they definitely had a lot of active sticks. We're getting in the lanes, blocking passes, and really making it hard on the Wheat Kings to really generate a whole lot of offense. And that was something definitely they were probably able to take some momentum out of that as well by having such a strong penalty kill.
Now, the defensive zone for this U17 team is something that I found, and we've really found as a broadcast crew that's been really making a lot of improvements as the season has gone along. How did that defensive zone coverage, that defensive zone play look from the Buffaloes in that Thursday exhibition 4-0 win over the Wheat Kings?
Yeah, they definitely looked like they took strides. They weren't panicking in the defensive zone when the Wheat Kings were able to generate some offense. They were able to kind of settle down and pick their spots where they were able to jump on a loose puck and able to get it going the other way.
Now, there was a new player that was in action for this Buffaloes team, number 2, Dmitry Petrenko, forward for the Buffaloes. Just to get a first look at him, how did he look in that game? What strengths he showed out there in that exhibition game on last Thursday?
Yeah, definitely. The Buffaloes looked like they were maybe easing him in a little bit. It didn't look like he was getting as much ice time as some of the other guys, but maybe just due to being his first game. Haven't heard of the young man before Thursday's game, so I believe it was his first game with the team. Maybe a little feeling out process with the coaches to see where he fits, and but he didn't look bad when he was out there. He was going to the dirty areas. He was taking not taking the body. Sorry, he was going to the corners and taking a hit to try and make plays, and he was able to throw the body a bit himself. He wasn't running around throwing big hits, but he was finishing his checks when it did call for him to finish his checks on his man.
Now, moving over to the Wheat Kings, we won't touch on them as much because obviously losing 4-0. But from what you saw from this Wheat Kings team, what they showed that was good out there, what they struggled at as well out there in that game to lose it 4-0.
At times, they did show why they are one of the top teams in that Winnipeg AAA U17 league. But there was times where it seemed like they let their tempers get the best of them. There was times where some of their players would kind of disengage from the play and look for the Buffalo player that had thrown a hit where they weren't expecting, and kind of getting into penalty trouble. Definitely, I think was part of their downfall in that game.
Talking about, some of the things that they did well in that game, some of the chances that they had there when they were in the offensive zone, as well as talking about their defensive zone play as well, some things that they might have, shown really well in that game at points.
Yeah, they definitely had some active sticks as well, trying to break up some of the plays. But it did seem like they maybe struggled at times to get out of their own end. But when able to get into the offensive zone, they definitely weren't shy. Like I said, to throw the body, especially once tension started to get a little bit higher. You could definitely see that they were really trying to engage in the physical game and try and intimidate the Buffaloes. But unfortunately, that didn't look like that was something that was going to work in that game. Was that intimidation factor?
Touch on their special teams real quick when they were up a man on the power play as well as on the penalty kill in that game.
Yeah, on the penalty kill, they did struggle a little bit with Pilot-Mound getting some power play time and generating some power play shots and offense off the power play, but or off the Buffalo power play. Sorry, but their penalty kill. When they were on the power play, they definitely were able to generate some offense, get some good shots on Miles Gordon there, and test him when they were able to get the man advantage.
Now, looking at it, one more thing before we go to commercial break here, just talking about the goaltending that was displayed for them, that was shown out there in that game, the goaltender that played for the Wheat Kings against the Buffaloes, how he looked in that game.
Yeah, he definitely looked like he was battling all game. He didn't look like he really gave up on any of the goals. He didn't really look distraught as the Pilot-Mound offense kind of gained momentum and was able to pressure him. He looked like he stood tall and was able to turn away a majority of the shots that he faced. Just with the four getting by him there. And a couple of them were really just some shots through traffic, stuff that he couldn't, a couple of them that he couldn't really do much about, but, they still look the same on the scoreboard.
Well, Cody, we're going to take our first commercial break in this edition of your segment Off the Wall with Cody on Coffee with Graeme. When we come back here on this edition of Cody's segment, we're going to talk about the Saturday and Sunday games that were played, some of the games that you guys didn't see here on the network. We're going to try to break those down the best that we can for you guys. Well, Cody's going to try his best to break them down for you guys on this edition of Off the Wall with Cody on Coffee with Graeme with Cody Wall. Stick around for more after this commercial break. Welcome back to Off the Wall with Cody here on Coffee with Graeme with Cody Wall. We started off by breaking down the Wednesday and Thursday matchups that we saw last week on the network. Now we're going to move into the weekend action here, Cody. Talking about, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, Buffalo's U15 male prep team. Of course, we weren't able to broadcast those games due to the snowstorm, but the Buffaloes starting off their weekend with a 4-3 win over Prairie Hockey Academy to be able to come out and beat this team after dropping their last matchup against them in the past weekend. the weekend before, 11-3, to come back, show that resiliency, and get a win against them have to be huge for the Buffalo's confidence to, be able to be resilient once again and be able to come out and beat this team.
Yeah, that seems like something we really talk about every time we talk about any of the Buffalo's team is their resiliency, and definitely was something that was displayed on Saturday, able to come back after a bit of a hard performance to Prairie in the prior games, with coming out with a 4-3 win on Saturday. Definitely something they will have been really pumped for. When anytime you can beat a team that had kind of, for lack of a better word, maybe had their way with you, you definitely cherish those wins a little bit more.
Yeah, and Keen Reed, a huge reason why this team was able to win, stopping 42 shots on 45 shots against, 42 saves for him in that game, just to be able to build off of, the strong games he's had this season. How huge was that for the Buffaloes to be able to get another huge performance out of their goaltender?
Definitely when your goaltender's facing a lot of shots and he's, he's hot. He's when he's stopping everything. There's lots of ways you can gain momentum in the game of hockey, and when your goalie's making key saves and making a lot of key saves, that can definitely help the offense get a little more momentum. Guys, rally behind their goaltender when you see performances like that, and kind of play for their brothers in arms when it comes to that.
Well, a huge bonus for the Buffaloes was getting Bo Murray back, their captain. He had a goal and an assist in that game. Just to have a player like Bo back, a player that has been able to get it done in all areas of the game on the ice. His performance, how huge that was for the Buffaloes in that game for them to be able to get that win.
Yeah, Bo Murray is definitely one of the premier offensive threats for the U15 Buffalo. So anytime he's missing, he's a big omission from the lineup. But with him playing, a goal and assist, like you said, is huge to kick your team into gear and get them to that next level, able to will them to a win, is definitely something that the coaches will be looking to lean on him going forward with key performances like that.
And, even though we weren't able to watch this game, we're just going to talk more about, players that really stood out. Talking about Gage Sutherland and Carson Carroll's. Gage Sutherland in this game, defenseman, having a goal, and then Carson Carroll's having 2 assists. We know how good these guys are. We've talked about it this season. For them to have big performances by putting up points in that game, how huge it was for this Buffalo's team, for them to generate points from the back end there, translating their good play into scoring chances, and them to get on the board and getting points in this game.
Yeah, those three that you just mentioned, Bo Murray, Gage Sutherland, and Carson Carroll's, those three, captain and the 2 assistant captains, those are the guys that night in and night out, the U15 Buffalo are going to be depending on for offense, and they didn't let their team down in that performance with displaying some of their offensive abilities. And on top of that, Gage and Carson both are so smooth at skating and able to make a good first pass to get their team wound up and able to get a good clean breakout to go forward to their opponents.
Now, talking about it, obviously for Prairie, them getting a lot of shots in this game, not being able to, exactly, capitalize on all of their chances. 42 shots against, actually, it was 39 saves for Keen Reed in that game. I'm just looking at it now, but just, where it might have went wrong for Prairie in this game to, even though they got a lot of shots, a lot of chances on net, for them not to capitalize enough to get this one.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little frustrating when you're throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at the goaltender, and he's blocking, and he's just having a good night. Anytime you can put up almost 40 shots, offensively, you were for the most part clicking in all cylinders, just not able to finish off some of those attempts. I'd say they probably didn't get too down on themselves, because there's positives that they were able to generate, just not able to finish it off. And that's something that they were able to do once it came to Sunday, potting 6 goals in that affair.
Yeah, and potting 6 goals against the Buffaloes, not getting as many shots that time around, but going into that 6-3 win for Prairie Hockey Academy, Keen Reed was in the pipes once again for the Buffaloes, stopping 25 shots on 31 against. But for Prairie Hockey Academy, for them to be able to find the net more in that game, what do you think that came down to for them in that game? A bit tough to say exactly what it was, since we weren't able to watch any of these games on the network this past weekend.
Yeah, like you said, hard to say exactly because we didn't get a chance to watch, but just kind of going off of their Saturday night game where they're able to get 40 plus shots. Coming into that Sunday game, they're going to be looking to continue. They would have been looking to continue offensively and really pressuring the goaltender. And, eventually you take enough shots, the floodgates are going to open. You're going to get goals eventually. And that seems to be what maybe had happened on that Sunday night affair. Just once they were able to kind of do the opposite of what they did on Saturday. Instead of having the quantity of shots, they had more of the quality shots, and were able to capitalize on the quality that they had.
Yeah, and just looking at it, some big performances from defensemen offensively for Prairie Hockey Academy in that game. 2 goals from defenseman number 10, Cohen Friesen, as well as a goal from another defenseman in Mikhail Buds. When a team's able to get offense like that from the back end, for them to step up by scoring 3 of the team's 6 goals, Prairie Hockey Academy definitely has to be very pleased with the performances they got from those 2 players, and Buds and Friesen on the back end, generating that offense, generating goals.
Yeah, definitely. When you can get offense from your defenseman, that's huge, because when you can engage your defenseman in the play, it definitely opens an extra couple outlets for the forwards. When they do stop up on the half wall, they can look to go back. If you're more of a strictly defensive guy, your forwards probably aren't necessarily going to have that pass to the back mentality. But when you do have defensemen who are able to get shots through and able to get it to the net and kind of create some rebounds, that's definitely a huge part of a successful team, is when you can engage your defensemen in the offense.
And before we move on from these 2 teams, just talking about Prairie one more time, not only 1 goal scorer in that game, but 5 different players getting on the board. Noah Thal with a goal and 1 assist. Caleb Dewar had a goal in that game, as well as, like I mentioned before, Cohen Friesen with 2 goals. Mikhail Buds with a goal as well, and Kieran Osberg as well, getting a goal and 2 assists in that game. Just talking about it, when you're able to get depth from throughout the lineup in terms of scoring, just how difficult that makes it on teams to, not only key on one player, but many players on the team.
Yeah, defensively, when you're going up against a team that has multiple offensive threats, it definitely, for the coaches, you're definitely going to have to, just put out your guys a bit differently. Sometimes it can be a bit hard to match lines when you are going up against a team that kind of has some depth guys who are able to put the puck on the net, or at least generate offensive chances. It sometimes makes it harder for the coaches to get the right defensive matchups and offensive matchups in those games.
Now, moving away from Academy hockey, talking about AAA hockey, going over to the province of Saskatchewan and the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League. Two games were played this weekend by the Swift Current Wildcats and the Battlefords Sharks. They split the weekend series as the Swift Current Wildcats won that first game of the weekend 6-0, and then Battlefords winning the final game of the weekend against them 3-2. Starting off with that 6-0 win from the Swift Current Wildcats, out shooting this team heavily. 41-25 were the shots in that game for them, and Swift Current had to be pleased with just how many opportunities, how many chances they had on net, of course, generating 6 goals out of those 41 shots.
Yeah, when you're able to generate, when you have that many shots, you definitely feel good. You feel like you just roll all 4 lines, or all lines out there, because everybody's going, or everybody's firing on all cylinders in games like that, where everything just seems like it's going to the right spots, and the offense is just clicking on all cylinders. Definitely makes it easier for the coaches and the players to go into those games when you are able to take control.
And it's not like Battlefords didn't have their chances in this game, especially on the power play. They had 6 chances, 0 for 6 on the power play. Of course, Swift Current was 1 for 2 on their power play. But talking about Battlefords on the power play, just how huge it was for Swift Current to be able to shut them down 6 times, how huge it was for them to get that strength, that strong play from their penalty kill against Battlefords in that game.
Yeah, when you're going to the penalty kill that many times, you usually don't expect to be able to put up a goose egg for the other team, which was the point there. Swift Current just had an amazing penalty kill, and I can all but guess that with that strong power play, they were able to generate some momentum and kind of helped them get some of their offense going when their defensive play and their goaltending is so strong that they're able to stop every power play that the other team was putting forth to them.
Now, big performances in that game offensively for Swift Current by Ava Metzger with 2 goals, as well as Lakin Swan with 2 goals for herself, 3 assists coming from Samantha Thompson. But talking about it, when you're able to see your players like that step up for Swift Current in this game against, although be it a weaker team in the standings than Battlefords, just huge to see, players having big games like that for them to build their confidence. Jersey Watain as well, having a goal and 2 assists in that game.
Yeah, two players specifically that I know I've kind of dialed in on that Swift Current team is Ava Metzger and you said Jersey McCain. They're definitely 2 of the more offensive players on that team, and most of the time when those 2 are going, so goes the team. When Ava is able to put up points, Swift Current definitely has a good chance at pulling out the win on those games.
And rookie goaltender got the start in that game for the Wildcats, and Carly Leonard, she had 25 saves on all 25 shots. Just, the impressiveness of her game so far this season to be able to be, arguably the best goaltender on this team for Swift Current this season so far.
Yeah, definitely. When you're in a rookie season, you're able to pick up a shutout. That's definitely that's nothing to scoff at. Anytime a goaltender gets a shutout, that is a huge accomplishment, and definitely you can take the pride in the fact that they were a huge part in that game when they are able to put up a goose egg for the other team.
Now, diving into Sunday's matchup, Cody, not the way that Swift Current wanted it to go. 3-2 loss for them on Sunday. They outshot the Battlefords Sharks once again, 37-22, but it was the huge performance from Emma Backman that really was the difference in that game. I feel like 35 saves on 37 shots against. She's been phenomenal all season long. You just look at her numbers, they've been outstanding, but talk about just how huge that performance was from Emma Backman in that game to get her team the win against the Swift Current Wildcats on Sunday to close out their weekend.
Yeah, especially in those low-scoring games, those 2-1, 2-2, those close games like that where they're kind of low-scoring. Those are definitely the ones where you look to your goaltender as a leader in those games, and that's definitely something Emma was able to do. Was kind of be that backbone for her team, and you can all I can guess that with her great performance, that will have given her team a bit of momentum, make them able to see that they can leave the defense. You can almost leave the defensive game to the goaltender when they're having a great game like that, and then you can almost focus a bit more on the offensive when you know that a goaltender is having a great game, as Emma did.
And yeah, this game for the Sharks, feel like they were opportunistic, of course, getting outshot quite a bit in this game, 37-22, but it was in that second period that was really the difference, as Battlefords got 2 unanswered goals after being down 1-0 after that first period. Just how huge it was for this team to be able to get those 2 unanswered goals in that second period that really on the score sheet ended up being the difference in that game.
Yeah, definitely. When you're able to generate a bit of momentum and get a bit of in a bit of a groove, as they were with getting 2 unanswered, that definitely fares well in the game when you're able to get a string of or a sequence of goals in and able to put 1, 2, 3 in a row up. Most times you're going to be able to pull out the win in those games when you are able to string together a number of goals in a sequence.
Now, another difference for this Battlefords team was their ability to shut the Swift Current team down on the power play. Not sure if it was just unbelievable performances on all 4 of those by Emma Backman, or if the penalty kill was, really making it difficult on Swift Current. But from the game before, when Swift only got 2 power plays, they went 1 for 2 to them going 0 for 4. Just how huge it was, how big of a difference that was for the Sharks to be able to kill off all 4 power plays, making the Wildcats go 0 for 4 on the girl advantage.
Yeah, we had kind of alluded to it before when talking about, I believe, the penalty kill of Brandon, that, when you're able to shut down the special teams, that's definitely a huge momentum booster for your team when you're able to, kind of eliminate the man advantage from being a factor in the game. That definitely bodes well for you, and because when you're able to have that extra player, it definitely is a huge advantage to the team on the power play. But with a strong penalty kill, that you can generate a whole lot of momentum off of that.
One more thing for the Sharks, and then we'll go to another commercial break here before talking about the next game, the final game we're going to talk about. But players like Michaela Palapau having a goal in that game, Meadow Nordell having a goal as well, and as well as, let me see here, Martine Morelli having the other goal for this team, for these players to take advantage of their opportunities, take advantage of being opportunistic out there just by looking at the shots. You'd have to think this Battlefords team was opportunistic in that game with their opportunities, how huge it was for those players to step up and put that puck in the back of the net on Aurora Van Wormer in that game.
Yeah, definitely. When you're able to capitalize on the few shots that you do get with them kind of trailing by a fair amount in that Sunday game, you can definitely tell that they were, like you said, opportunistic, able to maybe, instead of putting every shot on net, maybe waiting for that perfect shot. And sometimes you're able to, wait for the quality of and focus on quality shots rather than the quantity. Other games, you need to depend on throwing everything at a hot goaltender and hope that one or two squeak by. That wasn't the case. They were able to, with the fewer shots they were able to get towards the net, were able to capitalize on the shots they did get.
Yeah, for sure. An impressive win for the Sharks, taking down the Swift Current Wildcats, who have now moved into a first place tie in the league after the past weekend of games, and the past week of games that they had, week/weekend of games. We'll call it that. We'll go with that, Cody. Yeah, coming up after the commercial break, we're going to talk about the Pembina Valley Hawks' huge 6-2 win over one of the top teams in the MFHL, the Yellowhead Chiefs, coming up here on Off the Wall with Cody on Coffee with Graeme. Stick with me and Cody after this commercial break.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
Welcome back to Off the Wall with Cody here on this edition of Coffee with Graeme with ASTV Productions color commentator Cody Wall. Cody, we've broken down a lot of games so far. Well, you have broken down a lot of games so far out of teams that played here on the network this past weekend, as well as talking about two games that happened last week on Wednesday and Thursday. Now we move into the final game that was shown here on the network on the weekend, the only game that our Manitoba crew was able to get out to. The Pembina Valley Hawks taking down the Yellowhead Chiefs 6-2, and a huge win for them. Huge boost of confidence for Pembina Valley after losing the day before against Central Plains 3-0. Just how huge this is going to be for this group heading into the upcoming games in this season, being able to take down one of the top teams in the league in the Yellowhead Chiefs.
Yeah, Pembina Valley definitely, they've been firing in all cylinders lately from what we've seen. I know they did manage to, on Saturday, they didn't have the same result that they would have wanted when they faced Central Plains, but definitely when they faced Yellowhead there, they definitely were able to generate a lot of offense with, you said 6 goals. And, one of the players that, from what I had seen that was dominant was Abby Bordedwy. She's always one of the players that is generating a lot of offense for the Hawks. She's usually right in the middle of everything that the Hawks are doing when it comes to game day.
Yeah, and looking at this game, Yellowhead ended up out shooting them. At points they controlled the play quite a bit, but it was that third period, Cody, that really was the difference in this game for Pembina Valley, scoring 4 unanswered. Just being able to come out, especially after last time when these two teams played, of course, tied going into the second period in that game earlier on in the season, 3-3, and Yellowhead pulling through 5-3 in that game this time, 2-2 coming into that third period, and then ended up being 6-2 for the Pembina Valley Hawks. Just point to, what you thought was the difference this time around for this Hawks team to be able to come out in that third period and execute like they did, rather than it being the other way around.
Yeah, it definitely looked like they came out of that third period firing all cylinders and just really seemed like they wanted it more. Not to say that Yellowhead didn't want the win, but just the tenacity from the Hawks and just the constant effort that they were able to put forth and just kind of continually pressure Yellowhead. That, to me, I think was the difference maker for them.
And, we talk about this girl quite a bit, Quinn McLaren, the captain of this team. She was back in the lineup this weekend. I had a chance to speak to her earlier on. Not earlier on, but on Thursday on Coffee with Graeme on the first ever edition of a new segment called the Hawks Report. Just saying that she got winded on that play, felt like they just took her out for precautionary reasons. But for her to be back and for her to have a game like she did, getting it done in the offensive zone by scoring a goal, as well as getting it done in the defensive zone, transitioning the puck up the ice very well, making good plays with her stick, playing good defense out there. How huge it was for them to have their captain back this weekend, and not only this weekend, but her huge performance in that game in all areas against Yellowhead.
Yeah, I'm going to start off by saying I'm glad to see that Quinn was able to not go down for an extended period of time after that nasty play in that exhibition game that we had called the other day. Nice to see that she was only winded and kind of taken out of that game for precautionary reasons. But, she is somebody that the Hawks depend on very often, able to generate momentum through her leadership. She's able to create offense with good, clean passes, and is always an outlet on that for a point shot when it does come to the offensive zone. So it's just really kind of the whole package for a defenseman, I would say.
Yeah. And moving away from Quinn McLaren, just this Pembina Valley Hawks team, their ability to, really generate their chances on the forecheck, using their speed, that was a huge part of why they were scoring their goals, just the forecheck in their speed in that game. But as well as in that second period, getting into lanes and blocking shots, just how huge that performance was from that Pembina Valley team all around in that game against Yellowhead in those areas on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. They're always moving their feet. You don't really see them standing still. They got some people who can really move once they get the puck, like Janique Grenier, Abby Bordedwy. She's got some wheels on her. The list goes on for Ava Delbozic. She's another player who, when she's able to turn on the jets, she can put some separation between her and the defenders. And they definitely have a very quick team, like you said, Graeme.
Yeah, and let's dive into Abby Bordedwy. What a performance. That first point she got in that game, looking like she was going to shoot, as she was, using her eyes to look at the net, fake that shot. She did end up finding Quinn McLaren backdoor right at the side of the net, and she tapped it in. Abby Bordedwy also scoring a beautiful backhander where it looked like she had no room to put that puck in, and as well as going to those right places to receive the puck off of that. A good forecheck from the Hawks, being able to, force turnovers, taking that puck away and finding her in the slot for those goals. Just talking about that overall performance from Abby Bordedwy. She also is the league leader in points at this point in the season as well.
Yeah, she's definitely able to create a lot of offense through her quick feet. But also once she gets to the offensive zone, she does have a great hockey IQ to stop up and be able to cradle the puck and wait for a play to develop, and is able to really make good, clean passes to her teammates to put them in good offensive positions as well.
Let's talk about Trian's now. Fantastic in this game. Only 2 shots beat her. She faced the bulk of the shots as Pembina Valley ended up getting outshot. But Trian's definitely a performance the Hawks love to see out of their goaltender in that game against Yellowhead.
Yeah, definitely. And like we've seen Tria a couple times, and she's always, she doesn't put forward a bad performance. She rarely has a bad game. Really is always kicking and able to bring a lot of the rebounds in. Doesn't give a lot of extra garbage for her opponents when she's in net, and able to, like I said, suck up a lot of the shots and not give off a lot of rebounds.
Talking about the special teams now, both teams had a lot of opportunity on the power play. Both of these teams ended up having power play goals coming in that first period. I'm forgetting what happened in the third, if those goals came on the power play for Pembina Valley. But just looking back at the first period, especially, both of these teams capitalizing on the power play, just how huge it was for these teams to be able to have some success on the power play and get some goals off there.
Yeah, definitely. When you can get your special teams going, that's definitely a positive. That's often something coaches will want to work on, is special teams, making sure that when you do get on the man advantage, you're able to generate some momentum. Even if you're not able to score all the time, just generating some momentum is huge. And when it comes to the penalty kill, that's another important part that you never, on the flip side, you never want to get down in a game. So you always want to have a strong penalty kill, able to kill off a majority of the opportunities that you give the opponents. And, you like to kill, have a real strong kill to be able to be a successful team.
Talking about the Yellowhead Chiefs here, we'll touch on them a bit here to end off this week's segment. But looking at them, they did some good things in this game. Obviously, having a rough third period, but from what you saw, what you liked from what you saw from this Yellowhead Chiefs team, as well as what you didn't like from what you saw from this team.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at the score, it wouldn't be indicative of the performance that Yellowhead had put forward. Them. You had mentioned that they were tied going into that third period. That's definitely a positive. A close game until that third period. Just something they'll maybe want to work on, putting forward a full 60-minute effort. You never want to get blown out in a game, and especially in a period as well. With kind of, you break that game into segments. The first 2 periods, they come out tied, and kind of like you said, a bit of maybe a poorer third period where they had lost kind of 4-0 if you were to break it down. That's definitely something they'd want to work on and improve on a bit going forward, is just putting forth a full 60-minute effort.
Yeah, and in that third period, once they got down Yellowhead and once that forecheck really came to life for Pembina Valley, it seemed like this Yellowhead Chiefs team kind of panicked with the puck a bit more, started giving the puck away a bit more, weren't as clean with their passing, weren't as patient with, trying to make their passes, and just really kind of a bit panicky after Pembina Valley started to impose their will on the forecheck. But, talking about the forecheck for Yellowhead, something that was really strong for them in that game, really something that was forcing turnovers on the Pembina Valley side of things at points in this game.
Yeah, definitely a strong defensive play at points in that game. Maybe a little, like we said, a little bit of a breakdown in the third period, but before that, definitely were able to play good, sound defensive hockey, able to get their sticks in lanes, able to break up plays and passes, and really put some pressure on Pembina Valley to really amp it up going into that third period with their strong defensive play and kind of keeping it even keel.
Now, Yellowhead came into that game as one of the top teams in the league. They are still one of the top teams in the MFHL. Just looking at the standings right now, Cody. Just waiting for my computer to load the standings here. Yellowhead is, I believe, they are still at 9-2 on the season. Yeah, that's what the record updated to, but after coming into that game after having a 6-1 win the day before against Eastman, maybe, they, losing a game like this against Pembina Valley, a team that is below them in the standings, a team that they won earlier against in the season, definitely that third period, especially them not being able to finish that game, definitely a wake-up call for this group in Yellowhead.
Yeah, definitely bringing it back. Both teams having games on Saturday with Pembina Valley dropping their game to Central Plains. You can assume that, there's a bit of a bitter taste coming out of that game, being a close game to Central Plains, losing a close one, maybe had a little extra momentum coming into that Sunday night game. And for the Yellowhead Chiefs, or Yellowhead, they come into that game coming off of a nice win, and maybe maybe almost took their opponents for granted to some extent, and maybe part of the reason why they weren't able to put together a full 60-minute effort to kind of keep up with the Hawks in that Sunday afternoon game.
Yeah, I feel like it was just in that third period where the wheels kind of fell off for Yellowhead. Like I mentioned before, from what I saw, just kind of breaking it down more because you weren't really able to watch that game, Cody, as you were in the middle of your move, right, this past weekend. It was just that forecheck, that energy that Pembina Valley came out with and brought them really generating momentum for themselves, and Yellowhead really can recover in that game after that momentum was shown by the Hawks on the forecheck in that offensive zone, putting that puck in the back of the net off of that strong forecheck and that speed that they were showing. And Yellowhead, even though they did have their chances to score in that period, Trey Enns was absolutely phenomenal in that game. Cody Wall on this edition of his segment here on Coffee with Graeme. Off the Wall with Cody joining me on this Monday evening on his segment. Cody, you take care. Continue to stay safe out there, and we'll see you at some point in the future, man. We'll see you next week on your segment, Off the Wall.
All right. And again, thanks for having me on today, Graeme. Always a pleasure to join your show, Coffee with Graeme.
No problem, Cody. You take care and stay safe, eh?
Talk to you later.
And Cody Wall, ASTV Productions color commentator, joined the show here on this, I guess, yesterday on Monday night for this Tuesday morning edition of the show, breaking down the past week/weekend of games that were played here, that were broadcasted here on the network, even though we weren't able to broadcast the Prairie Hockey Academy versus Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy Buffalo's U15 male prep games due to the snowstorm, not allowing our broadcast crew here in Manitoba to get out there to Pilot-Mound this weekend. Coming up after the commercial break, some final words here on this edition of Coffee with Graeme. Stick around after the break to hear those final words here on ASTV Productions on Coffee with Graeme. Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Of course, most recently on the show, as you guys just saw for almost an hour there, Cody Wall joining the show on his segment Off the Wall with Cody. Off the Wall with Cody Wall. Special thanks to Cody for coming on the show this week once again and doing his segment Off the Wall with Cody. Special thanks as well to Chris Kirwan, assistant coach of the Swift Current Wildcats in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League and team captain of the Westman Wildcats, number 7, Makenna Beard, for coming on the show. Special thanks to those two. Also, a special thanks to you, the viewer, for taking the time and tuning in to this edition of Coffee with Graeme, as well as a special thanks to our sponsors in Evolve Green, AETI, Case Financial, Tovi Hockey, and Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy for sponsoring another edition of the show. For Coffee with Graeme, we'll be back here on the network for Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Central Time for an all-new edition of the show. Stay tuned on our social media pages, on our Instagram at ASTV Productions, on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, as well as on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV to see who those guests will be joining the show, the guest list of Thursday night's episode, as well as stay tuned tomorrow if you guys are a fan of Rise and Shine Manitoba. If you tune into that show, Manitoba's show, returning tomorrow morning for this week's edition of that show for this week's episode at 10 a.m. Central Time. You can catch that one on our Facebook, on our Twitter, as well as on our website at astvproductions.com. But yeah, for Thursday night's episode, it will be a pre-recorded episode, so you guys can catch it on our Facebook as well as on our website. But until then, folks, as well as for Rise and Shine Manitoba, if you guys want to know who the guests will be for tomorrow's episode, you guys can check out who those guests will be sometime today. We'll be posting the promo for that episode, the guest reveal of who will be joining tomorrow's episode on Manitoba's show, on our Facebook, our Twitter, and on our Instagram as well. But until Thursday, folks, for Coffee with Graeme, I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth, signing off now. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Stay safe out there. And until 2 days from now on Thursday night, I'll see you then, everybody. Graeme Forsyth now, signing off. Peace out, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.